With the eruption of the imperial flame's power, a dazzling brilliance surged through the air, carrying with it intense energy. In midair, Xiao also began to incinerate the countless black leaves. Sizzle! The massive imperial flame cauldron, several hundred meters wide, activated, causing millions of black leaves to rapidly evaporate. These evaporated black leaves, like the one Xiao had previously tried to burn, turned into swirling black gas. Due to the restrictions of the imperial flame, the black gas did not disperse outside the cauldron but was trapped inside. As more and more black leaves were evaporated, the originally radiant imperial flame cauldron gradually became darker. Xiao remained seated before the cauldron, using the imperial flame to evaporate the black leaves in order to refine something. From the black gas that had just been produced, Xiao clearly sensed the chaotic rupture of space. This rupture was crucial for obtaining the heart of Maha. From his exploration of the heavenly soul, Xiao discovered that all the hearts of Maha on the Maha divine tree were strange. They gave off an endless feeling, but this sensation did not come from the hearts of Maha themselves. Instead, it emanated from the tree as a whole. In other words, if the heart of Maha were removed from the tree, that feeling of infinity would dissipate upon separation. Hence, it was impossible to remove a heart of Maha from the Maha divine tree and maintain its original endless essence. However, Xiao discovered that the black leaves growing around the heart of Maha contained a strange power. It was a chaotic and fragmented force, one that seemed to nullify all existing laws. This chaotic and fractured power was the source of the Maha divine tree's cohesion. To confirm this, Xiao first burned a black leaf and ultimately verified the existence of this power. He speculated that if he could harness this power, he might truly be able to extract the heart of Maha. The reason the heart of Maha lost its effect upon separation was because the Maha divine tree was an integrated whole. To retain the heart's original effect, there were only two methods. One was to keep the heart attached to the tree, and the other was to make the heart itself a whole after separation. Xiao aimed to achieve the latter method using the black leaves. However, a single black leaf did not contain enough power to support a heart of Maha. Xiao estimated that thousands, even tens of thousands, of black leaves would be required to maintain the heart, and the black smoke produced from evaporating these leaves was unstable. Thus, the only solution was to refine and condense the smoke into a liquid. For that, an even larger number of black leaves was needed. So, Xiao deployed the army of pill spirits to gather millions of black leaves. Now, Xiao task was to burn all the black leaves into black smoke and then condense it into black liquid. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The imperial flame, fully activated, rapidly evaporated the black leaves in the cauldron. In just a few minutes, over half of the leaves had been turned into black smoke. The density of the smoke in the cauldron increased significantly, forcing Xiao to expand the cauldron, causing the imperial flame to grow from a few hundred meters wide to 1,000 meters in size. At this moment, Xiao, in comparison to the enormous cauldron, appeared so tiny he was nearly invisible. The evaporation of the black leaves took about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, countless gazes from below looked up in amazement at the cauldron, now transformed into a vast mass of black gas, dense and thick. If it were to truly spread, it would likely disturb the space within a radius of 100,000 meters, as this black smoke contained incredibly powerful chaotic spatial force. If not for the void-devouring flame within the imperial flame, Xiao would have encountered some difficulty. After all the black leaves had been evaporated into black smoke, Xiao let out a deep breath. He waved his hand over the cauldron. With the evaporation complete, the next step was to remove the unnecessary parts of the black smoke, leaving behind the vital life essence crucial for the heart of Maha. This was the refining process. Xiao had decades of experience in refining. When he was on the Doqi continent, Yao Lao had taught him the art of pill refinement, with the first step being the process of refining. Therefore, as he continued with the refinement, Xiao found it a familiar and effortless task. The towering and massive fire cauldron remained suspended in midair, becoming the focal point of nearly 1,000 pairs of eyes gathered below. Every few minutes, a large mass of black gas would be released from the cauldron. These dark fumes spread in the wind, but the chaotic, space-distorting power that had once existed was long gone. Clearly, these black fumes were waste gas, while the true essence had been concentrated at the bottom of the cauldron. The refining of the black liquid continued for a full 2 hours, and as more and more black gas was released, the originally pitch-black fire cauldron gradually returned to its former brilliance. The radiant glow, akin to the blazing sun, dispersed the black gas until, at last, when the final wisp of black gas was released, the cauldron also disbanded, transforming into imperial flame and surging into Xiao Yan's body. The intense heat that enveloped the heavens and earth vanished with the dispersal of the imperial flame, and everything returned to normal at that moment. Beneath the Maha divine tree, over 1,000 pairs of eyes gazed up at the figure in black robes suspended in midair, Xiao Yan. Before him, however, was a mass of black liquid slowly wriggling. The black liquid, about 10 feet in diameter, appeared like a black hole, yet it lacked the terrifying devouring power. Even with Xiao Yan's senses, it was hard to discern the details within, for the space inside had become completely chaotic. Looking at the black liquid, a familiar scene appeared in Xiao Yan's mind. It was from 10 years ago in the Western Heaven realm, within the Western Heaven Palace, where Xiao Yan had met the Western Heaven Battle Emperor. At that time, the Battle Emperor's true form had been a mass of liquid like this, but the one before Xiao Yan now was pitch black and opaque, while the Battle Emperor's was made of true transparent water. Even water can become life. What else is impossible in this world? But Xiao Yan quickly snapped out of his reverie. He had now successfully refined the black liquid capable of sustaining the Maha heart as an independent entity. His next task was to truly extract a Maha heart and ensure it retained its boundless power. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Xiao Yan activated the power of heaven and earth, a force of spatial control. With this spatial control, the floating mass of black liquid began to slowly move toward a nearby Maha heart. The black liquid, about 10 feet in diameter, slowly enveloped the Maha heart. Just as the Maha heart was about to be completely engulfed, Xiao Yan's figure flashed. In that final moment, Xiao Yan neither hurried nor slowed. He used a wisp of spiritual power and deftly guided it to strike the final root of the Maha heart. This push ensured the Maha heart fell entirely into the black liquid, yet the boundless power remained intact. Splash! Xiao Yan successfully extracted a Maha heart from the Maha divine tree without losing its original power, causing the crowd below to erupt in astonishment. It was as though they had witnessed a miracle, and the creator of this miracle was Xiao Yan above them. However, just as everyone awaited Xiao Yan's next move, he tore open another spatial rift in the heavenly tomb and sealed the black liquid, containing the Maha heart, inside it. With the rift closing, Xiao Yan's figure vanished from sight. No one knew where Xiao Yan had gone or what the extracted Maha heart was for. They would have to wait 20 months before seeing him again. The 10,000 Pills gathering was always a spectacular event for all alchemists, and in the heavenly spirit dimension, something interesting was happening every moment. Every alchemist who entered here embarked on their own adventure. 2 months after Xiao Yan left the Maha divine tree, which was 6 months after the 10,000 Pills gathering began, 2 people who had been waiting for a long time finally reunited in a certain part of the heavenly spirit dimension. They were Xun'er and Xiao. This was a medicinal herb continent, and all that could be seen on this continent was a scene of ancient desolation, with vast gorges and ravines stretching across the land. However, deep beneath these ravines, a strange medicinal herb grew, an herb that fed on the power of the earth's core. Due to the many unknown dangers beneath, few people ventured here, except for Xun'er and Xiao. At this moment, beneath a massive gorge, there was a huge underground cave entrance. "Did you bring everything?" Inside the cave, Xun'er asked Xiao, while extending her divine soul detection to cover the entire medicinal continent. Anyone's arrival would be immediately detected by her, unless their strength far surpassed that of an Earth Supreme. "Sister Xun'er, I brought it." "That was close. I thought there would be some kind of scan or detection to get in here," Xiao said. flipping her hand as the sensing spirit disc immediately appeared. Seeing Lu Xian take out the sensing spirit disc, Xun'er quickly took it and put it away. This was one of the Pill God clan's most important treasures. If the elders of the clan found out, it would be a disaster. By the way, here, take this. After storing the sensing spirit disc, Xun'er handed a jade bottle to Lu Xian. This is one of the 4 materials needed for the Heavenly Lotus Creation Pill, True Water. I found it 2 months ago on my journey, so I brought it to you. Lu Xian was overjoyed upon hearing this. She had spent 6 months finding only one of the materials needed for the Heavenly Lotus Creation Pill, the 9-colored celestial lotus. At this pace, she wouldn't finish gathering all the materials until after the 10,000 pills gathering was over. But now, with the true water that Xun'er had brought, Lu Xian had saved a lot of time and trouble. All she needed to do now was find the remaining 2 materials, spirit clay and creation nectar. The amount of true water should be enough for you to use 5 or 6 times. I also considered the possibility of failure, Xun'er said. Have you found the other materials yet? Still missing spirit clay and creation nectar. As for spirit clay, I haven't heard any news about its location. We'll just have to keep searching. However, I did hear along the way that creation nectar seems to be in the eastern region of the heavenly spirit dimension. The exact location will still require some searching, Xun'er replied. In the eastern region? That's so far. Lu Xian's face changed upon hearing this. The medicinal continent they were on was in the western region of the heavenly spirit dimension, completely opposite from the eastern region. The distance between them was more than 200 million miles. Even if Lu Xian traveled without rest at her fastest pace, it would still take at least 4 months to reach the eastern region. A round trip would take 8 months, and the 10,000 pills gathering was only 1.5 years away. Leave the creation nectar to me. You focus on finding spirit clay. Just as Lu Xian was worrying about the tight timeline, Xun'er spoke up. She seemed to be calculating something, counting on her fingers. About half a month, I'll definitely bring the creation nectar to you. Sister Xun'er, you're going to help me find the materials? Lu Xian was stunned. She knew that Xun'er's claim of half a month for a round trip was no exaggeration. As a true Earth Supreme expert, her speed was far beyond Lu Xian's. But Lu Xian still had doubts. Aren't you going to refine pills yourself, Sister Xun'er? Heh, I'm here for fun. Xun'er smiled at Lu Xian. Besides, refining the Heavenly Lotus Creation Pill will be difficult for you. I'll try to help, but don't forget your own goals. Hearing this, Lu Xian could only nod. She knew Xun'er was the daughter of the Pill God clan's patriarch, and the 10,000 pills gathering was hosted by the Pill God clan and the ancient myriad grass plains. She could do whatever she wanted here. This is my divine soul mark. Use it to find me later. After saying this, Xun'er handed Lu Xian a divine soul mark before turning to leave. However, just as Xun'er was about to leave the cave entrance, her pupils suddenly contracted and her body froze. At some point, a familiar figure had appeared at the cave entrance. Xun'er had been completely unprepared for this appearance and never imagined this person would show up here. Her sudden halt caught Lu Xian's attention as well. When she looked toward the entrance, she was shocked to see Xun'er's father, Yu, the Pill God clan's patriarch. Father, why are you here? Xun'er froze for a moment as she looked at Yu standing at the cave entrance. 6 months ago, before the 10,000 pills gathering began, Yu had communicated with her about the sensing spirit disc, and at that time, Xun'er had informed him that Lu Xian would be attending the event in 6 months. Xun'er immediately realized that their whereabouts had been detected from the beginning and had likely been locked in from the start. Lu Xian, on the other hand, was beyond disbelief. She couldn't fathom how terrifying Yu's strength was, standing there without Xun'er, an Earth Supreme expert, even noticing him. Could this be the power of a Heavenly Supreme? What? I can't come? I'm one of the hosts of the 10,000 pills gathering. There's nowhere in the Heavenly Spirit dimension I can't go, Yu said indifferently after hearing Xun'er's words, glancing at Lu Xian beside her. Senior, the sensing spirit plate was borrowed by me. It has nothing to do with Sister Xun'er. Upon seeing Yu, Lu Xian immediately realized the seriousness of the situation. Moreover, from Dan Yu's earlier words, it seemed that he had already discerned her identity. Knowing all of this, Lu Xian could only try her best to help Dan Xun'er minimize troubles, even taking the blame upon herself. Father, it's not her fault. Hearing Lu Xian trying to take the blame for her, Dan Xun'er quickly added, I told you earlier, this is solely my matter. I know. Dan Yu replied, surprising Lu Xian with a light smile. Hee, I heard your conversation just now. Then, Dan Yu turned his gaze towards Lu Xian. Heavenly Lotus Creation Pill, wow. You even managed to get your hands on the ancient pill scriptures? Startled, Lu Xian hesitated for a moment. A thought flashed through her mind. Could it be that Dan Yu was considering the Heavenly Lotus Creation Pill for himself? But she quickly dismissed the idea. After all, Dan Yu was a Heavenly Supreme expert. Did he really need to waste words for something like that? How about coming to my Pill God clan as a guest elder? Dan Yu proposed. You are quite talented. Guest elder? Both Lu Xian and Dan Xun'er were taken aback at Dan Yu's suggestion, realizing he intended to recruit Lu Xian directly. However, to Dan Yu's surprise, Lu Xian shook her head firmly, without providing any further explanation. Oh, is that so? Since you're unwilling to come to my Pill God clan as a guest elder, I suppose you have your own plans? Dan Yu seemed unperturbed by Lu Xian's refusal and asked, Can you share your plans with me? I want to establish a lower dimension alliance, Lu Xian replied. A lower dimension alliance. Dan Yu appeared somewhat surprised by her answer, but he maintained his composure. You do know that the Guardian Realm and Sacred Alliance have been destroyed, right? I know. It was the work of the extraterritorial clan, Lu Xian said. Since you're aware, then there's not much more for me to say. Just work hard. The future is uncertain for anyone, Dan Yu said with a smile as he turned to Dan Xun'er and asked, Where is the spirit plate? In response, Dan Xun'er flipped her hand, and the sensing spirit plate that she had taken back from Lu Xian appeared before them. After it materialized, it vanished again and reappeared in Dan Yu's hand. It's serious to take the clan's supreme treasure out without permission. I trust you understand that, Dan Yu said to Dan Xun'er after retrieving the spirit plate. You need to be punished. Since you are here, you must refine a pill before the end of the 10,000 pills gathering. As for the grade, just make a heavenly pill or something. A heavenly pill. Dan Xun'er could hardly accept Dan Yu's punishment. What level of pill was that? It was a super pill coveted even by Earth sovereigns. And now Dan Yu was saying to just casually make one. However, before Dan Xun'er could protest, Dan Yu suddenly vanished once again, just as he had appeared, leaving behind a stunned Lu Xian and a speechless Dan Xun'er. The cave fell silent, and after a few moments, Lu Xian broke the silence with a chuckle. Sister Xun'er, your father is quite something. Dan Xun'er cast a helpless expression in response. What's so great about it? He actually wants me to refine a heavenly pill. Time never waits for anyone, and as the 10,000 pills gathering, attended by thousands, approached its climax, the atmosphere in the heavens and earth grew increasingly heated. 2 years after the gathering began, across the continents, people could occasionally be seen lighting up alchemical furnaces to begin refining their pills. In the heavenly spirit dimension, where acquiring medicinal materials was never an issue, very few would fight fiercely over a rare herb. With this pace, 2 years swiftly drew to a close, and in every corner of the heavenly spirit dimension, countless alchemists had truly accomplished their goals, much like the man who had stayed on the edge of the heavenly spirit dimension for nearly 2 years. The sunlight from the distance cast an elongated shadow of Xiao as the wind billowed his black robe. However, when a massive shadow, spanning hundreds of thousands of miles, descended from the sky, the last glimmers of sunlight were completely obscured. Have I finally succeeded? Xiao gazed at the enormous shadow slowly descending from the sky. Xiao waved his hand, and the massive black shadow, spanning hundreds of thousands of miles, quickly shrank and fell into his palm. With this item, he would intimidate the heroes of the 10,000 pills gathering. The enormous black sphere, hundreds of thousands of miles in size, shrank in midair and eventually transformed into a black bead, completely disproportionate to its previous form. The bead fell into Xiao Yan's hand. It was about the size of a dragon's eye, resembling a dark pill. However, it emitted not the fragrance of pills, but a mysterious, indescribable aura of heaven and earth, as if within this black pill there was an entire world. Ding! Just as Xiao Yan held the black pill in his hand, a crisp bell toll echoed from afar, resounding through the entire heavenly spirit dimension. The clear bell sound pierced through space, reaching all corners of the dimension almost simultaneously, and everyone who heard it understood its significance. The 10,000 pills gathering, which had been unfolding for 2 years, was coming to an end. A pill refining duel, the highest level contest in the entire Great Thousand Worlds, was about to begin. The strongest of the strong from all factions were still unknown, but the answer would soon be revealed. The lingering, crisp bell sound reverberated through the heavens and earth. At this moment, somewhere in the heavenly spirit dimension, dark clouds above a medicinal continent rapidly dispersed with the distant rumblings of thunder. As the light sky appeared, a figure with a somewhat fiery appearance stood on a mountain peak. This was a woman in red. Listening to the bell ringing through the sky, the red-clad woman, her eyes seeming to burn with flames, gazed into the distant horizon, as though waiting for something. Around her, a dark red pill floated like a spirit, and then, the dark red pill transformed into a figure. Meanwhile, in another location, over an endless expanse of sea, a gigantic black divine cauldron stood towering thousands of meters above the ocean. Above it, a middle-aged man, meditating in silence, slowly opened his eyes. Is it over? Hearing the bell resound across the heavens and earth, the middle-aged man extended his hand and tapped the black divine cauldron beneath him. The enormous cauldron immediately shrank to the size of a palm and flew into his body. In the northern part of the heavenly spirit dimension, over another sea, a battle was nearing its end. Boom! On the vast sea, a battle zone, enveloped by destructive storms, covered an area of hundreds of thousands of meters. Within this zone, 4 individuals were engaged in a fierce battle. These 4 possessed true Earth supreme strength. A battle at this level was bound to devastate the world. The scene of shattered space and surging tidal waves would have been enough to obliterate an entire medicinal continent if it had occurred there. However, the 4 battling it out were not all human. Any advanced alchemist present would immediately recognize that only one of the 4 was a true human. The other 3 were embodiments of powerful pill spirits. 3 super pills, each at least at the heavenly pill level, were working together to face a real human. Or perhaps, to confront their creator. Haha, once I absorb you all, I can truly refine myself into an Earth Supreme at great perfection. Amid the wild battle zone, an emaciated old man laughed maniacally as he struck a heavenly pill spirit with a hand containing destructive power. When the force powerful enough to severely wound an upper-level Earth Supreme exploded, the heavenly pill spirit had no chance of resisting and shattered into a mist of blood, its limbs scattering. But what is a heavenly pill? Every bit of its flesh is a creation of heaven and earth. After obliterating the heavenly pill spirit, the old man opened his mouth and unleashed a terrifying sucking force, devouring the remnants of the exploded pill spirit. The 3 heavenly pills, refined by the old man, were all mid-level heavenly pills. The spirits created from these pills possess strength comparable to quasi-upper-level Earth Supreme experts. To Earth Supreme experts, heavenly pills were a crucial supplement, and these 3 mid-level heavenly pills were crafted to help the old man break through the boundary he had been waiting for nearly a century, Earth Supreme at great perfection. However, although the old man was their creator, upon realizing they would be consumed, the spirits immediately rebelled. Yet, 3 quasi-upper-level Earth Supremes stood no chance against the quasi-Earth Supreme at great perfection. The 10,000 pills gathering is about to end, and now is the time for you to prove your worth. After swallowing a heavenly pill, the old man greedily licked his lips and turned his gaze toward the other 2 heavenly pills not far away. However, just as the withered old man shifted his gaze toward the other 2 heavenly pills not far away, the second bell rang, echoing across the world, following the first bell. The second bell reverberated across the heavenly spirit dimension, and this time, everyone looked up. As the bell rang, something descended from the sky. Objects that resembled bubbles, about several meters in diameter, but in vast numbers, covering the entire heavenly spirit dimension. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the bubbles of the dimension, created using the dimension embryo. Anyone who enters will be fully scanned. The 10,000 pills gathering is about to end, and everyone can only carry one pill when leaving the heavenly spirit dimension. As the countless bubbles appeared, Danyu, the host of the 10,000 pills gathering, announced to the entire realm. Those watching the descending bubbles finally understood their purpose. These bubbles, created from the dimension embryo, were used for scanning, and it was clear that only those with strength far exceeding Danyu and the plateau could attempt any tricks under such a scan. In all past 10,000 pills gatherings, no one had been powerful enough to defy such an overwhelming scan. At the edge of the heavenly spirit dimension, Xiao watched a bubble descend from the sky and hover before him. With his perceptive abilities, even without the previous explanation, he could tell that this bubble was created by the dimension embryo, for Xiao had once completely controlled the dimension embryo himself. After the bubble descended, Xiao smiled slightly, then stepped forward into the bubble. The 10,000 pills gathering, which had lasted 2 years, was now drawing to a close, and what remained was for all participants to showcase their achievements over these 2 years. This was the ultimate clash between all levels of alchemists, and those who stood out would be celebrated throughout the alchemy world of the Great Thousand Worlds. Xiao came to the gathering with this very goal in mind. He was also looking forward to the upcoming clash and wondered what kind of extraordinary alchemists would appear. I wonder if Yao Xian and the others have completed their pills, Xiao thought. Yao Xian and his 8 companions represented the next generation of alchemists in the Do domain world. From the beginning, Xiao had wanted them to witness and experience this event. As for whether they could stand out, Xiao knew it was nearly impossible. What truly mattered was giving them a chance to experience the upcoming peak duel. Already inside the bubble, Xiao gazed toward the distant horizon with a sense of anticipation in his eyes. Yes, not just him, but everyone in the heavenly spirit dimension must be eagerly awaiting what was about to happen. Buzz. As Xiao entered, the bubble emitted a faint buzzing sound. Inside, Xiao felt the world around him beginning to distort. Everything spun, and then darkness enveloped him. In the boundless darkness, there were no other reference points, but Xiao still felt a force propelling his body forward. He didn't know how long this journey through the dark lasted, but as a faint light appeared ahead, Xiao figure shot toward it. The darkness receded, revealing a vast white world. The white world stretched endlessly, with smooth, flat ground that immediately reminded Xiao of his arrival at the Thousand Worlds. But Xiao quickly realized that this was not the Thousand Worlds. The pervasive dimension force was the same as in the heavenly spirit dimension, meaning that this was a place within the heavenly spirit dimension, a place normally unreachable. Without the permission of the dimension embryo, even if the heavenly spirit dimension were destroyed, one would never find this place. Xiao immediately understood where he was. He had been here before. When merging the Do domain world, the dimension embryo of the Do domain had also guided him to such a dark, spatial world. This was the inner dimension space of the heavenly spirit dimension, while the world where the medicinal continents resided could only be considered as the surface layer of the dimension. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As Xiao entered the inner dimension space, figures began to appear not far from him. These were obviously other participants of the 10,000 pills gathering.